We just got back from Vid Summit, and while we were there, I noticed something really interesting that I actually didn't notice last year. So in all these sessions, you can learn about these different YouTube hacks and very specific things that are working well for YouTubers. But if you walk outside of the sessions, maybe you walk out onto the balcony, everyone's networking. And this year, I spent a lot of time talking to the top YouTubers and noticed some commonalities. And surprisingly, they're a lot different than everything that's being taught in those sessions. It's not that the information being taught in the sessions is necessarily wrong. It's that it won't matter if you don't get these things right. So if you want to break through on your channel, there are 3 habits you really need to adopt right now. The first habit is dedicated masterminds that meet on a regular basis. So think of them as a tribe of creators that is there to help you tear apart what's not working on your channel and be honest with you and rebuild it in a better way. This is a level of accountability that most creators never experience. So we have seen this before, but we noticed it even more strongly at Vid Summit. We've seen it in Project 24, that people that are in these masterminds do so much better. And at Vid Summit, it was everyone. I'm not kidding you. Everyone we talked to that had a really big successful channel was a part of some kind of dedicated community or mastermind that meets regularly. These are not casual meetups or a little Facebook group that you get dumped into. These are regular strategic groups that push each other to the next level. Forgive me if I get too much in the weeds here, but for just a second, I want to kind of prove that it is most likely causation and not correlation, because we see that these really big YouTubers that have achieved success are in these groups, but also in Project 24, when we have our members that are currently not in a group and they have small YouTube channels that are often not doing so well, and then they join a focus group, they always grow. And pretty much always, most of the group gets monetized very quickly. Now, there is a reason for this, and I hope I don't sound too cynical when I say this, but it's really not about being lonely on YouTube. It could be part of it, but I think it's a lot more than that. I think having a community does help you not get burnt out and helps you maintain a consistent publishing schedule and feel less alone, but it's a lot more than just that is making this work so well. So I want to use an example from this book. I love this book, and the example is that when Tetris first came out, I think it was, what year was it? 80s. I thought it was the 80s, but I was embarrassed to say that if I was way off. Okay, so when Tetris first came out in the 80s, here's what that looked like. There were some really dedicated players that became well known as the masters, and they would spend decades learning Tetris techniques to find out after years and years and years that there were things about the game, kind of simple things, at least in today's terms, that they didn't notice. One of these players didn't even know she could rotate the pieces left, okay? And she was like one of the best in the world at the time. The reason for that is that when you can't collaborate, you don't have nearly as much information. And nowadays, people that are absolute beginners can learn some of these top strategies right away with the internet within their first week of learning the game. And they still have to put in the reps and get things like the muscle memory, but they're gonna be able to pass up where those masters were in the 80s within months instead of years. So relatively new players today can beat records that people really thought were impossible in the 80s. To demonstrate this, let me see, I found a really good chart in here. Okay, here it is. So this is how innovations spread. Do you see that? It says, more connections means more chances for innovations to spread. Members of the network on the right have more opportunities to learn from peers than those on the left. I love how simple this diagram is, but it's so true and so obviously true when you see something as concrete as a Tetris score completely skyrocket over the years because of the internet and things like YouTube. YouTube skyrocketed people's success in Tetris, which is really funny when you think about it. And that's the power of a mastermind group. And we have a really cool workshop coming up. That workshop is going to walk you through a lot of the strategies in this video, the habits that the top YouTubers are using, and we're also going to pair people off into focus groups that will hopefully continue to meet afterwards again and again on a regular basis and become each other's people for this kind of thing. I'll put the link to sign up and the info on that in the description. And also here's a video about it, and make sure you get on that really soon because we're gonna sell out. Imagine how fast you would grow if you had a dedicated group of YouTubers that you got to collaborate with every week. You cannot grow alone. You have to have people that challenge you, and those who know that win. But to be honest, that's not enough if you don't understand this next thing, which is that you have to have your audience dialed in. And this is something that a focus group can help you figure out. But it's gonna be different for every single topic. Like, this is the most individual thing to your channel. You know, everything can be kind of individual. Even the lighting that you use for your channel might be individual based on your filming space. If you're outside, the kind of light that comes through your windows, right? Like, there is a lot of things that are gonna be different for your channel than other people's channel. But nothing quite like how different your audience is from everybody else's audiences. And this is the entire crux of the algorithm. It is figuring out who your audience is and making sure you are consistent enough with catering to the audience so that the algorithm sees what kind of people click and knows who to keep showing the videos to. There might be a lot of different kinds of people that would be interested in your channel. But the thing is, if it is not very targeted to one kind of person, where at least one kind of very specific person would want to watch the majority of your videos, YouTube is gonna get kind of fed up with you. The algorithm, even though it doesn't like have this mind or anything personal towards you, if the algorithm kind of shows the same type of person in all your videos and it doesn't work, they're gonna show an entire other group of the same type of person in your videos. And if they can't find a commonality, it gives up because it wants to show videos to people who are going to click on them. YouTube as a platform doesn't benefit if people aren't clicking on the videos it's showing them, so it's only gonna give you so many chances. And you have to make it abundantly clear and easy for the algorithm to figure out what kind of person is gonna watch your videos. That's a hard lesson that can take YouTubers a really long time to learn. And part of it is because it's very difficult to narrow down your audience, and often you don't want to, because you want to serve a lot of different people, and it's just a lot of work to figure out exactly who you're making these videos for, but it's so important. And there are a lot of exercises and strategic ways to go about this. I'll get into that more later, and also the workshop coming up, we're gonna get into that. But I just really wanna drive the point home here. What really sets the top creators apart from everybody else that is struggling is how well they understand their audience and what drives them. So much that they know what kind of decisions they need to make for their channel based on how well they know this audience. They know if the video should be longer or shorter or more structured or less structured, and they know what their viewers need and are going to click on before the viewers even realize it themselves. And when you understand your audience at that level, they can't help but watch, and therefore YouTube can't help but keep spreading your video, which leads to all those views you've been wanting. The last thing that we've known for a while, and it was confirmed to us at Vid Summit when we talked to these top creators, is that they are all active strategists. Now, two things here. One is, I know that could sound a little contrary to what I said in the beginning, which is that all the strategy in the sessions was kind of missing the point. And the strategy in the sessions is important, but what's important, even more important, is to make sure you are not treating them as like a one-off, trying this thing, silver bullet. It's not gonna work like that. So you need these other elements. And then the sessions actually can be very beneficial. And in fact, we are going to watch the Vid Summit sessions ourselves. We have the recordings. We're gonna go back and watch all the ones we missed because they're very important, but this is more important. And so the second thing is, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. This is gonna sound really overwhelming. In fact, I'm sure a lot of this video sounds kind of hard. Like if you've never been in a mastermind before, how do you get that going? And maybe you're kind of introverted and that doesn't sound great. We're gonna help you with that. And for this final strategy of being an active strategist, I want you to imagine that you are playing a board game. Hopefully you are strategic when you play board games. Otherwise, this might not make sense, but we're gonna go with it. When you're playing a board game, you don't have to do everything right. And initially when I made the notes for this video, I'm just gonna read it to you, okay? It's kind of cringy now that I think about it. I had written out, it's not about knowing secret tricks or complicated formulas. It's about consistently taking the right actions at every stage. I don't actually like that, because it's not about taking the right actions at every stage. Who can possibly do that? And if you put that kind of pressure on yourself, you're not gonna go anywhere because you'll be way too overwhelmed and paralyzed by indecision. It's about taking actions. And you might not know if they're the right actions or the wrong actions at the time until later, and that's okay. You might have an idea. Maybe you think it's the right action and it's the wrong action. Or maybe you're not sure. Maybe you think this might not work, but then you do it and it works. It is about tweaking and adjusting and taking action and paying attention and trying to be strategic. So back to the game example. You're playing a game. I love Settlers of Catan, so let's use that as an example. If you haven't played it, doesn't really matter. It's like any other strategy game. I mean, I'm obsessed with this game. I've played it a lot, but I still often make mistakes. And when I do, like, I feel frustrated for a second, but I don't give up on the game. I don't say, oh, well, if I didn't do everything perfect, then it's not gonna work. I adjust my strategy. And another important thing is there's a lot of unpredictability to the game. So there's no way to make all the perfect choices because you don't know what the perfect choices are going to be. And so I have to adjust and navigate as the game goes on. And that's how the successful YouTubers are thinking about this. They aren't thinking about like, someday I'll hit gold. They are trying things and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work so well and testing things and tweaking things and testing it again. Like, I promise you, that is the formula. There is a secret formula. There's a secret hack. And it is that. In addition to really understanding your audience super well and being part of a mastermind group so you can stick to it all. Like, that is the formula. And I know that sounds overly simplified. Like I said, the other things matter, but if you have these things, you can implement those other things. And if you don't have these things, you will probably never successfully implement the other things. If you're not designing your own pathway through this YouTube journey, you're not gonna find the answers in the next YouTube video or at the next convention. But if you are adopting these strategies, you are gonna feel the shift. If you're ready to get serious and fast track your YouTube journey, we are hosting this workshop. We have designed it for people like you. And it doesn't matter if you have a small channel or a big channel, or even if you haven't started your channel yet, although if you sign up, like at least make one video before it starts. But what is most important is that you are strategically minded. And if you're watching this and if you've made it this far, I think you are. This is practical and actionable, and you're going to be able to do hands-on work that is customized and specific with specific feedback for your own channel. And then we're also going to pair you in a focus group at the end of all of it so that you can continue this journey with the same group of people. By the end, you're gonna walk away with a clear plan and a group of your YouTube people. And you guys are gonna keep doing this together and support each other and learn more about each other and each other's channels and keep leveling up together. We're only opening this up to 20 people, and that includes Project 24 members. So the spots are going to sell out. The link is in the description. Get signed up right away. And you got this. I'm excited to see 20 of you in the workshop. See you there.